Hey guys, so as we move through the grammar section here, so far we've covered how to memorize the flashcards, how to do the ear than grammar prediction on the 60% of questions that are all grammar questions, how to do we know that 40% of the questions are rhetoric questions, the most common of which is the rhetoric, underline the key phrase. On those you want to cover the answers, underline the key phrases in the question and tell you what the answer must do. And if the question mentions part of the passage, you go summarize that part of the passage. All that is your prediction, and then you look at the answers. We've covered how to cross out wrong answers. You cross out the part of the answer that makes it wrong. That means crossing out words if these words make the answer wrong. And if there's punctuation that makes an answer wrong, you underline it. So we've also covered transition questions like number 9 here, which is to cover the answers, cross out the transition word, read enough above and below to put your own word in as a prediction, and then you look at the answers. And again, predicting, it puts you in that anticipatory state of mind. When you cover the answers and predict, even if it's a crappy prediction, any prediction is better than no prediction, it just puts you in a more intelligent state of mind. Right answers have a way of popping out, and you don't even notice the wrong answer so much. So let's get to our next question type. It's a rhetoric type of question. So far we've done the underline the key phrase and the transition rhetoric questions. Let's see what the next one that comes up is. 12 is a underline the key phrase. So is 13. 14. So this is a sentence/paragraph placement question. So that's what we'll address here. It's easier to see with sentence placement questions. So let me go find one. There's always a few of them on every test. Two paragraph placement questions on this test. More likely it's sentence. There we go. Question 54, if you see down here. So it always says the same thing. For the sake of logic and coherence of the paragraph, where should the sentence be placed? So here is the technique. Go to the sentence in question, and they're looking at sentence 2 here. What you want to do is divide the sentence into 2 parts. It doesn't mean in halves. It doesn't mean break it in the middle. But based on the meaning of the sentence, even if it's a 4-word sentence, do this. Just decide kind of what's the first half of the meaning and what's the second half of the meaning, and divide and break the sentence into 2 parts. So let's try with sentence 2 here. To fill this gap, she decided to nurture the talent among American writers by creating Page Tab Voice, a bilingual publication in Hmong and English. I'm just going to say it's back here to fill this gap. And these are a little debatable. That's okay. Just make an effort to break it into 2 parts. And here's why we do it. Because everything before that break, we're going to call it the first half of the sentence, better connect directly to the ending of the previous sentence. And everything that comes after that break in the sentence better connect directly to the sentence that follows. And that's the whole question. Where do we put this sentence in the paragraph? We're going to have to put it somewhere where we call it ends to beginnings. The end of the previous sentence connects to the beginning of this sentence, and the end of this sentence connects to the beginning of the following sentence. Ends to beginnings. So when it comes to sentence placement questions, that's the phrase, from ends to beginnings. End of the previous sentence connects exactly to the beginning of this sentence, and the end of this sentence connects exactly to the beginning of the following sentence. Make sense? Almost like putting puzzle pieces together. So now we're going to go to the 4 places mentioned in the answers to see where the sentence should go. So it's actually, a little different. It's not covering the answers is not so important here. One of the rare questions where that's the case on this test. So let's go to F where it is now. Okay. Try this out. Let's see the sentence right before it. Before publishing Bamboo Among the Oaks, Mua founded the first Hmong American literary journal. And then sentence 2 starts to fill this gap. That does not connect at all to the previous sentence. I guarantee this is not the right answer. So I'm going to cross out. Well, let's go with the now there and the where it is now. We don't like F. Let's go to G. Before sentence 1. So that would suggest that the previous paragraph is talking about a gap because we know sentence 2 starts with to fill this gap. So let's go look at before. Sorry about the coloring getting in the way there. I'll just erase it. Okay. So if we look at the end of the previous paragraph, a common theme in Mua's collection is a search for identity. Specific topics include assimilation, group identification, and gender and generational conflict. And then sentence 2 goes, to fill this gap. I don't see a gap talked about. So again, I do not like If we're doing ends to beginnings, end of the previous sentence, the must connect directly, logically, exactly to the beginning of the sentence following. It's not happening in either F or G. All right, H, after sentence 3. Let's read that. The idea came to her while she was recovering from surgery. To fill this gap. No, I don't know what gap they're talking about. I don't like H either. Ends to beginnings, the end of the previous sentence is not connecting directly to the beginning of this sentence. Whatever that sentence before is, it better talk about a gap. So the end of the sentence before will connect directly to the beginning of the sentence in question here. Last answer, let's try this one. After sentence 4. To pass the time she met, there we go. To pass the time she spent many hours reading, and she discovered that Hmong writers were missing from Asian American anthologies. And then sentence 2 would say, to fill this gap, she decided to nurture the talent of Hmong writers. And let's see how the end of sentence 2 flows into the following sentence, ends to beginnings. To nurture the talent of Hmong American writers by creating Paj and Tahat Voice, a bilingual publication in Hmong and English. Sentence 5. The first issue, produced in 1994, connects directly, ends to beginnings. So this is definitely J. So just to recap on these sentence placement questions, break the sentence into 2 parts. Doesn't have to be in the middle. But in terms of meaning and ideas, break it into 2 parts, and then we use that ends to beginnings idea. The end of the previous sentence must connect directly to the beginning of the sentence in question, and the end of the sentence in question must connect directly to the sentence following. Only one of the answers is going to do that. And here, in this case, it was J. The right answer is usually always going to be pretty clear, that it connects in both parts. So if you even just look at the first half and it's not connecting to the previous sentence, you can probably move on, and you don't even have to check if the second half works. Only if you get all 4 answers not working for you, do you need to go back and really double check both the beginning and the end, fulfilling the ends to beginnings connection idea of how the right answers work on these. So you'll notice, let me just see, any other sentence placement questions in this test? There we go, 74 is the exact same type of question. And then we also saw those 2 paragraph placement questions at the beginning of the test. And it's the exact same principle, ends to beginnings. So basically, when you're doing a paragraph placement question like number 14 here, you just want to make sure that they want to know about paragraph 3 here in question 14. You just want to make sure that the beginning of paragraph 3 connects exactly to the end of the previous paragraph, and the end of paragraph 3 connects exactly to the beginning of the following paragraph. So ends to beginnings, ends to beginnings. Same exact principle. So, as with all these questions, you could avoid using these techniques. You'll probably get it right. But the game here is getting it right every single time. And that happens when your technique is tip-top, super sharp. So just drill it, all your tests. Just drill these habits, turn them into unconscious habits, and you're going to rock these questions every single time. And then you're looking at a perfect score on the grammar section for SAT or ACT. Okay, guys. Talk soon. Next video.